Today we're going to talk about the Mid-Autumn Festival. So do you know what's the Mid-Autumn Festival? So let me show you some quick facts about the Mid-Autumn Festival. So it is also called as the Moon Festival or the Mooncake Festival. So it is the mainland, it is observed by mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. Similar holidays celebrated in Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia. So it is cultural and religious type of festival. So it signifies the celebration of the end of the autumn harvest. So here are some types of events whereby they held during the celebration. So it's the lantern lighting, mooncake making and sharing, courtship and matchmaking fireworks, and family gathering, dragon dances, family meal, visiting friends and relatives, and gift giving. So here are some observances about the consumption of mooncakes and the consumption of cassia wine. So you can just click this here. So the date is on the 15th day of the 8th month of the Chinese lunar calendar. So this year's date is going to be two days time. So next year is going to be on 29th of September. It is annually being celebrated. So it is related to these similar events. I'm gonna highlight for you here. Chuseok from Korea, Tsukimi from Japan, Tet Truntu from Vietnam, Uposata of Ashvini or Kritika, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. So this is the Chinese name as in simplified and traditional version. So I'll just let you to take a while and look at this, alright? Got that? Alright. So it is one of the most important holidays in Chinese culture. Its popularity is on par with that of Chinese New Year. The history of the Mid-Autumn Festival dates back over 3,000 years. The festival is held on the 15th day of the 8th month of the Chinese lunisolar calendar, with a full moon at night, corresponding to mid-September to early October of the Gregorian calendar. On this day, the Chinese believe that the moon is at its brightest and fullest size, coinciding with the harvest time in the middle of the autumn. The lanterns of all sizes and shapes are carried and displayed, symbolic beacons that light people's path to prosperity and good fortune. Mooncake, a rich pastry typically filled with sweet bean, egg yolk, meat, or lotus seed paste, are traditionally eaten during that festival. The Mid-Autumn Festival is based on the legend of Chang'e, the moon goddess in Chinese mythology. Here is the etymology right now. So I'm gonna talk about this first chapter. The Mid-Autumn Festival is so named as it is held on the 15th of the 8th lunar month in the Chinese calendar around the autumn equinox. Its name is pronounced in this Mandarin as Zhongqiujie or Zhongqiujie in Cantonese and Dongqiujie in Hokkien. So it is also called Pegoche, also known as 8th month festival in Hokkien. So Chuseok, also known as Autumn Eve, Korea festival, celebrated on the same day in Chinese and other East Asian lunisolar calendar. Tsukimi moon viewing, Japanese variant of the Mid-Autumn Festival, celebrated on the same day in the Chinese lunar solar calendar. Moon Festival or Harvest Moon Festival because of celebrations association with full moon on this night, as well as the traditions of the moon worship and moon viewing. Tet Trung Tu in Shu Nom, Mid-Autumn Tet in Vietnamese, also known as the Children's Festival in Vietnam. Most festival songs are sung by the children. Lantern Festival, a term sometimes used in Singapore, our country, and Indonesia, which is not to be confused with the Lantern Festival in China that occurs on the 15th day of the first month of the Chinese calendar. However, the Mid-Autumn Festival is more widely used by the locals. When referring to the festival in English, and 中秋节 term is used when referring to the festival in pure Mandarin. Bon Om Tuk, or the Water and the Moon Festival in Cambodian. The festival is held each year in November for 3 days. So here are the meanings. Chapter 2. The festival celebrates 3 fundamental concepts that are closely connected: gathering, such as family and friends coming together, or harvesting crops for the festival. It is said the moon is the brightest and roundest on this day, which means family reunion. Consequently, this is the main reason why the festival is thought to be important. Thanksgiving, to give thanks for the harvest or for the harmonious unions, and praying, asking for conceptual or material satisfaction, such as for babies, a spouse, beauty, longevity, or for a good future. Traditions and myths surrounding the festival are formed around these concepts. Although traditions have changed over time due to changes in technology, science, economy, culture, and religion, it's about well-being together. So for chapter 3, origins and development. The Chinese have celebrated the harvest during the autumn full moon since the Shang dynasty, from 1600 to 1046 BCE, also known as BC. The term Mid-Autumn first appeared in the Rites of Zhou, a written collection of rituals of the Western Zhou dynasty, 1046 to 771 BC. As for royal court, it was dedicated to the goddess Tang Xinjin, the sun god. This is still true for Taoism and Chinese folk religion. The celebration as a festival only started to gain popularity during the early Tang dynasty, which held from 618 to 907 CE or AD. One legend that explains the Emperor Xianzong of Tang started to hold formal celebrations in his palace after having explored the Moon Palace. In Northern Song Dynasty, the Mid-Autumn Festival has become a popular folk festival and officially designated the 15th day of the 8th month of the lunar calendar as the Mid-Autumn Festival. By the Ming and Qing dynasties, the Mid-Autumn Festival had become one of the main folk festivals in China. The Empress Dowager Cixi, late 19th century, enjoyed celebrating Mid-Autumn Festival so much that she would spend the period between the 13th and 17th day of the 8th month staging elaborate rituals. Moon worship. This is the photo of Chang'e, the moon goddess of immortality. This is Hou-Yi, helplessly looking at his wife, Chang'e, flying off to the moon after she drank the elixir. Hou-Yi is the Chang'e's husband. Hou Yi is Chang Yi's husband. I just repeated that according to the mythology. Let me explain here. An important part of the festival celebration is moon worship. The ancient Chinese believed in rejuvenation being associated with the moon and water, and connected this concept to the menstruation of women, calling it monthly water. The Zhuang people, for example, have an ancient fable saying that the sun and moon are a couple, and stars are their children, and when the moon is pregnant, it becomes round and then becomes crescent after giving birth to a child. These beliefs made it popular among women to worship and give offerings to the moon on this evening. In some areas of China, there are still customs in which men do not worship the moon, and the women do not offer sacrifices to the kitchen gods. So that's why moons are in all phases, from full moon to crescent to anything that they could form naturally in the natural occurrence. In China, the Mid-Autumn Festival symbolizes the family reunion, and on this day, all families will appreciate the moon in the evening because it is the 15th day of the 8th month of the Chinese lunar solar calendar, like what I've said earlier, when the moon is at its fullest. There's a beautiful myth about the Mid-Autumn Festival that is Chang Yi flying to the moon. Offerings are also made to a more well-known lunar deity, Chang Yi, known as the moon goddess of immortality, like what I've said earlier. The myths associated with Chang Yi explain the origin of moon worship during this day. One version of the story is as follows, as described by Li Hui Yang's Handbook of Chinese Mythology. In ancient past, there was a hero named Hou Yi who was excellent at archery. His wife was Chang Yi. One year, the 10 suns rose in the sky together, causing a great disaster to the people. Yi shot down 9 of the suns and left only one to provide light. An immortal admired Yi and sent him the elixir of immortality. He did not want to leave Chang Yi and be immortal without her. So he let Chang Yi keep the elixir. However, Pang Mang, one of his apprentices, knew this is secret. So on the 15th of August, in the Chinese lunar solar calendar, when Yi went hunting, Pang Mang broke into Yi's house and forced Chang Yi to give the elixir to him. So she refused to do so. Instead, she swallowed it and flew into the sky. So this is why she flew to the sky right now. Since she loved her husband and hoped to live nearby, she chose the moon for her permanent residence. So that's why it's comfortable. So when Yi came back and learned what had happened, he felt very, very, very sad that he displayed the fruits and cakes Chang Yi liked in the yard and gave sacrifices to his wife. People soon learned about these activities, and since they also were sympathetic to Chang Yi, they participated in these sacrifices with Hou Yi. When people learned of the story, they burnt incense on a long altar and prayed to Chang Yi, now the goddess of the moon, for luck and safety. The custom of praying to the moon on the Mid-Autumn Day has been handed down thousands of years since that time. Handbook of Chinese Mythology also describes an alternate common version of the myth. After Ho Yi shot down 9 of the 10 sons, he was pronounced king by the thankful people. However, he soon became a conceited and tyrannical ruler. In order to live long without death, he asked for the elixir for Shi Wangmu, but his wife Chang Yi stole it on the 15th day of August because she did not want the cruel king to live long and hurt more people. She took the magic potion to prevent her husband from becoming immortal. Ho Yi was very angry when discovered that Chang Yi took the elixir. He shot at his wife as she flew towards the moon. Though he missed, Chang Yi fled to the moon and became the spirit of the moon. Ho Yi died soon because he was overcome with great anger. Thereafter, people offer a sacrifice to Chang Yi on every 15th day of the 8th month to commemorate Chang Yi's action. So that's why we always have Mid-Autumn Festival now. Chapter 4. Celebration. The festival was a time to enjoy the successful reaping of rice and wheat with food offerings made in honor of the moon. Today it is still an occasion for outdoor reunions among friends and relatives to eat mooncakes and watch the moon, a symbol of harmony and unity. During a year of a solar eclipse, it is typical for governmental offices, banks and schools to close extra days in order to enjoy the extended celestial celebration. An eclipse breaks. The festival is celebrated with many cultural or regional customs, among them burning incense in reverence to deities including Chang Yi, performance of dragon and lion dances, which is mainly practiced in southern China, lanterns. These are the Mid-Autumn Festival decorations in Chinatown, Singapore, and shops in Hong Kong. A notable part of celebrating the holiday is carrying of brightly lit lanterns, lighting lanterns on towers or floating sky lanterns. Another tradition involving lanterns is to write riddles on them and have other people try to guess the answers. Yeah, please solve the riddles. It is difficult to discern the original purpose of lanterns in connection to the festival, but it is certain that lanterns were not used in conjunction of moon worship prior to the Tang Dynasty. Traditionally, the lantern has been used to symbolize fertility and functional mainly as a toy and decoration. But today the lantern has come to symbolize the festival itself. In the old days, lanterns were made in the image of natural things, myths and local cultures. Over time, a greater variety of lanterns could be found as local cultures became influenced by their neighbors. As China gradually evolved from an agrarian society to a mixed agrarian commercial one, the traditional from other festivals began to be transmitted into the Mid-Autumn Festival, such as the put of lanterns on rivers to guide the spirits of the drowned as practiced during the Ghost Festival. which is observed the month before. Hong Kong fishermen during the Qing Dynasty, for example, would put up lanterns on their boats for the Ghost Festival and kept lanterns up until Mid-Autumn Festival. Mooncakes. Making and sharing mooncakes is one of the hallmark tradition of this festival. In Chinese culture, a round shape symbolizes the completeness and reunion. Thus, the sharing and eating of round mooncakes among family members during the week of the festival signifies the completeness and unity of families. In some areas of China, there is a tradition of making mooncakes during the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival. The senior person in that household would cut the mooncakes into pieces and distributed them into each family member, signifying family reunion, like grandparents cutting into pieces and distribute to parents, children, everyone. In modern times, however, making mooncakes at home has given way to the more popular custom of giving mooncakes to family members, although the meaning of maintaining familial unity remains. Although typical mooncakes can be around a few centimeters in diameter, imperial chefs have made some as large as 8 meters in diameter, with its surface pressed with designs of Chang'e, cassia trees, or the Moon Palace. One tradition is to pile 13 mooncakes on top of each other to mimic a pagoda. The number 13 being chosen to represent the 13 months in a full Chinese lunar year. The spectacle of making very large mooncake continues in modern China. According to Chinese folklore, a Tapan businessman offered cake to Emperor Taizong of Tang in his victory against the Xiongnu on the 15th day of the 8th month. Taizong took the round cakes and pointed to the moon with a smile, saying, "I'd like to invite the toad to enjoy the whole." After sharing the cakes with his ministers, the custom of eating these who spread throughout the country. Eventually, these became known as mooncakes. Although the legend explains the beginnings of mooncake giving, its popularity and ties of the festival began during the Song Dynasty from 906 to 1279 AD. Another popular legend concerns the Han Chinese's uprising against the ruling Mongols at the end of the Yuan Dynasty from 1280 to 1368 AD, in which the Han Chinese used traditional mooncakes to conceal the message that they were to rebel on Mid-Autumn Day. Because of the strict controls upon the Han Chinese families imposed by the Mongols, in which only 1 out of 10 households was allowed to own a knife guarded by the Mongolian, this coordinated message was important to gather as many available weapons as possible. Other foods and food displays. Imperial dishes served on this occasion included 9 jointed lotus roots, which symbolize peace, and watermelons cut in the shape of lotus petals, which symbolize reunion. Teacups were placed on stone tables in the garden where the family would pour tea and chit-chat, waiting for the moment when the full moon's reflection appeared in the center of their cups. Owing to the timing of the plant's blossoms, cassia wine is the traditional choice for the reunion wine, drunk on the occasion. So this is the cassia wine. It's the reunion wine during 2 days time. And the Vietnamese rice figurines known as Tu Hi. Let me continue here. Also, people will celebrate by eating cassia cakes and candy. In some places, people will celebrate by drinking Osmanthus wine and eating Osmanthus mooncakes. Food offerings made to deities are placed on an altar set up in the courtyard, including apples, pears, peaches, grapes, pomegranates, melons, oranges, and pomelos. One of the first decorations purchased for the celebration tables is a clay statue of the jade rabbit. In Chinese folklore, the jade rabbit was an animal that lived on the moon and accompanied Chang'e. Offering of soybeans and cockscomb flowers were made to the jade rabbit. Nowadays in southern China, people will also eat some seasonal fruit that may differ in different districts, but carrying the same meaning of blessings. The courtship and matchmaking. The mid-autumn moon has traditionally been a choice occasion to celebrate marriages. Girls would pray to moon deity Chang'e to help fulfill their romantic wishes. In some parts of China, dances are held for young men and women to find partners. For example, young women are encouraged to throw their handkerchiefs to the crowd, and the young man who catches and returns the handkerchief has a chance at romance. In Daguang, in southern Guizhou province, young men and women of the Dong people would make an appointment at a certain place. The young women would arrive early to overhear remarks made about them by the young men. The young men would praise their lovers in front of their fellows, in which finally the listening women would walk out of the thicket. Pairs of lovers would go off to a quiet place to open their hearts to each other. You want a proposal? Let's go. Let's go if you want to. Games and activities. During the 1920s and 30s, ethnographer Chow Wei Pang conducted research on traditional game among men, women, and children on or around the mid-autumn day in Guangdong. These games relate to the flights of the other soul spirit possession or fortune telling. Oh wow. One type of activity, Ascent to Heaven, involves a young lady selected from a circle of women ascend into the celestial realm. While being enveloped in the smoke of burning incense, she describes the beautiful sights and sounds she encounters. Another activity, Descent into the Garden, played among younger girls, detailed each girl's visit to heavenly gardens. According to legend, a flower tree represented her, and the number and color of the flowers indicated sex and number of children she would have in her lifetime. Men played a game called Descent of the Eight Immortals, where one of the eight immortals took possession of a player would then assume the role of a scholar or a warrior. Children would play a game called Encircling the Toad, where the group would form a circle around a child chosen to be a Toad King, and chant a song that transformed the child into a toad. He would jump around like a toad until water was sprinkled on his head, in which would then stop. If you want to practice one of these activities anywhere if you want, then go ahead and choose these four games available, which is very fun actually if you want to. So get on. Practices by regions and cultures. Here are some photo of the Mid-Autumn Festival at the Botanical Garden in Montreal. Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival Parade at Belfast City Hall. Mid-Autumn Festival at Chinatown, Singapore, and also in Hong Kong, Victoria Park. Let's start with the practices in China. In Xiamen, a unique tradition is celebrated quite exclusively in the island city of Xiamen. On the festival, families and friends gather to play Bo Bing, a gambling sort of game involving six dice, like the ones that we play, snake games whatsoever, like ladders, snakes and ladders whatsoever. People take turns in rolling the dice in a ceramic bowl with the results determining what they win. Wow! Number 4 is mainly what determines how big the prize is. Oh my gosh! Hong Kong and Macau. In Hong Kong and Macau, the day after the Mid-Autumn Festival is a public holiday rather than the festival date itself. Unless that date falls on a Sunday, then Monday is also a holiday. Because many celebration events are held at night, there are a number of festive activities such as lighting lanterns, but mooncakes are the most important feature there. However, people don't usually buy mooncakes for themselves but to give their relatives as presents. People start to exchange these presents well in advance of the festival. Hence, mooncakes are sold in elegant boxes for presentation purposes. Also, the price for these boxes are not considered cheap. A 4 mooncake box of the lotus seeds paste with 8 yolks variety can generally cost $40 or more. This is quite expensive to buy, yo! However, as environmental protection has become a concern of the public in recent years, many mooncakes manufacturers in Hong Kong have adopted practices to reduce packaging materials to practical limits. The mooncake manufacturers also explore in the creation of new types of mooncakes, such as ice cream mooncake and snowskin mooncake. If you guys never heard this before, just go ahead and try it. There are also other traditions related to the Mid-Autumn Festival in Hong Kong itself. Neighborhoods across Hong Kong set impressive lantern exhibitions with traditional stage shows, game stalls, palm reading, and many other festive activities. The grandest celebrations take place in Victoria Park. One of the brightest rituals is the Fire Dragon Dance, dating back to the 19th century and recognized as a part of China's intangible cultural heritage. The 200-foot-long fire dragon requires more than 300 people to operate, taking turns. The leader of the Fire Dragon Dance will pray for peace and good fortune through blessings in Hakka dialect. After the ritual ceremony, Fire Dragon was thrown into the sea and lanterns and paper cards, which means the dragon will return to the sea and take the misfortunes away. Before 1941, there were also some celebration of Mid-Autumn Festival held in a small village or small villages in Hong Kong. Xiapo would celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival on every 15th day of the 8th Chinese lunar solar month. People call Mid-Autumn Festival a Quan-Sin Festival. They hold Pak San Ngao Sai at Da Tong Pond in Xiapo. Pak San Ngao Sai was a celebration event of Quan-Sin Festival. People would gather around to watch it. During the event, someone would play the percussions. Some villagers would then act as possessed and call themselves as motion masters. They burned themselves with incense sticks and fought with real blades and spears. Ethnic minorities in China. Korean minorities living in Yanbian Korean Autonomous Prefecture have a custom of welcoming the moon, where they put a large conical house frame made of dry pine branches and call it moon house. The moonlight would shine inside for gatherers and appreciate. The Boye people called the occasion Worshipping Moon Festival, where after praying to ancestors and dying together, people would bring rice cakes to the doorway to worship the moon grandmother, Chang'e. The two people practice a ceremony called beating the moon, where they place a basin of clear water in the courtyard to reflect an image of the moon, and then beat the water surface with branches. The mountain people tie a bamboo near the table, on which a grapefruit is hung with 3 lit incense sticks on it. This is called shooting the moon. You want to try it? Go ahead and try it. I just repeated. That's it. In Taiwan and its outlying islands, Penghu, Kinmen, and Matsu, the Mid-Autumn Festival is a public holiday. Outdoor barbecues have become a popular affair for friends and families to gather and enjoy each other's company. This is like normal days. Children also make and wear hats made of pomelo rinds. It is believed Chang'e, the lady in the moon, will notice children with her favorite fruit and bestow good fortune upon them. Similar tradition in other countries. Similar traditions are found in other parts of Asia. Other parts of Asia and also revolve around the moon, the full moon itself. These festivals tend to occur on the same day or around the Mid-Autumn Festival. East Asia, Japan, or Tsukimi. The Japanese Moon Viewing Festival, or Tsukimi, also known as moon viewing, is also held at this time. People picnic and drink sake under the full moon to celebrate the harvest. Sounds enjoying, right? Korea, Chuseok. Chuseok, literally autumn eve, once known as Hangawi, from archaic Korean for the Great Middle, is a major harvest festival and a three-day holiday in North Korea and South Korea, celebrated on the 15th day of the 8th month of the Chinese calendar. On full moon, it was celebrated as far as during the Three Kingdoms period in Silla. As a celebration of the good harvest, Koreans visit their ancestral hometowns to honor their ancestors in a family ceremony and share a feast of Korean traditional food such as toranguk or sampyeon and rice wines such as sindoju and dangdangju. Southeast Asia, Uposata. Many festivals revolving around a full moon are also celebrated in Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. Like the Mid-Autumn Festival, these festivals have Buddhist origins and revolve around the full moon. However, unlike their East Asia counterparts, they occur several times a year to correspond with each full moon, as opposed to one day each year. The festivals that occur in lunar months of Ashvini and Kritika generally occur during the Mid-Autumn Festival. In Cambodia, it is more commonly called the Water and Moon Festival, Bon Am Tuk. The festival The Water and Moon Festival is celebrated in November of every year. It is a 3-day celebration starting with the boat race that lasts the first 2 days of the festival. The boat races are colorfully painted with bright colors and is in various designs, being most popular the neat Cambodian Sea Dragon. Hundreds of Cambodian male take part in rowing the boats and racing them at the Tonle Sap River. When the night falls, the streets are filled with people buying food and attending various concerts. In the evening is the Sampi Preke, the salutation to the moon or prayers to the moon. The Cambodian people set an array of offerings that are popular with rabbits, such and various fruits and a traditional dish called ak ambok in front of their homes, with lit incenses to make wishes to the moon. Cambodians believe the legend Chen Dok, where a rabbit lives in the moon and watches over the Cambodian people. Chen Duk is a jade rabbit, the Cambodian version of jade rabbit. Back here. At midnight, everyone goes up to the temple to pray and make wishes and enjoying their ak ambak together. Cambodians would also make homemade lanterns that are usually made into the shape of the lotus flowers or water lily or other more modern designs. Incense and candles light up the lanterns, and Cambodians make prayers and then send if off into the river of their wishes and prayers to be heard and granted. Laos. This is the Mid-Autumn Festival decorations at Gardens by the Bay in Singapore. In Laos, many festivals are held on the day of the full moon. The most popular festival, known as Tat Luang Festival, is associated with Buddhist legend and is held at Pat Tat Luang Temple in Vientiane. The festival often lasts for 3 to 7 days. A procession occurs and many people visit the temple. Myanmar. In Myanmar, numerous festivals are held on the day of the full moon. However, the Tha Ding Yut festival is the most popular one and occurs the month of Tha Ding Yut. It is also occurs around the time of the Mid-Autumn Festival, depending on the lunar calendar. It is one of the biggest festivals in Myanmar after the New Year festival Ting Yen. It is a Buddhist festival and many people go to the temple to pay respect to the monks and offer food. It's similar to Vesak Day, of course. It is also a time for Thanksgiving and paying homage to Buddhist monks, teachers, parents, and elders. So in Singapore, it is informally observed, but not a government holiday. Let's skip on to that. In Vietnam. In Vietnam, in this picture, children participate in parades in the dark under the full moon with lanterns of various forms, shapes, and colors. Traditionally, lanterns signify the wish of the sun's light and warmth to return after winter. In addition to carrying lanterns, the children also don masks. Elaborate masks were made of papier-mâché, though it is more common to find masks made of plastic nowadays. Handcrafted shadows lanterns were also an important part of the Mid-Autumn displays since the 12th century Lai dynasty, often of the historical figures from Vietnamese history. Handcrafted lantern making declined in modern times due to the availability of mass-produced plastic lanterns, which often depict internationally recognizable characters from children's show and video games. So it is good. It is good anyway. The Mid-Autumn Festival is known as Tet Trung Tu Chu Nom. So this one in Chu Nom, it's here in Vietnamese. It is also commonly referred to as the Children's Festival. The Vietnamese traditionally believed that children, being the most innocent, had the closest connection to the sacred and pure and natural beauty of the world. The celebration of the children's spirit was seen as a way to connect to that world still full of wonder, mystery, teachings, joy, and sadness. Animist spirits, deities, and Vietnamese folk religions are also observed during the festival. In its most traditional form, the evening commemorates the dragon who brings rain for the crops. Celebrants would observe the moon to divine the future of the people and the harvest. Eventually, the celebration came to symbolize a reverence for fruitfulness, with prayer given for bountiful harvest, increase in livestock and fertility. Over time, the prayers for children evolved into the celebration of children. Historical Confucian scholars continued the tradition of gazing at the moon, but to sip wine and improvise poetry and song. However, by the early 20th century in Hanoi, the festival had begun to assume its identity as the quintessential children's festival. Aside from the story of Chang Yi, or Hang Ya in Vietnamese, there are two other popular folktales associated with the festival. First describes as the legend of Choi, whose wife accidentally urinated on a sacred banyan tree. The tree began to float towards the moon, and Choi, trying to pull it back down to earth, floated to the moon with it, leaving him stranded there. Every year during the Mid-Autumn Festival, children light lanterns and participate in a procession to show Choi the way back to Earth. The other tale involves a cub who wanted to become a dragon, and as a result worked hard throughout the year until he was able to transform himself into a dragon. One important event before and during the festival are lion dances. Dances are performed by both non-professional children's groups and trained professional groups. Lion dance groups perform on the streets and going to the houses, asking for permission to perform for them. If the host consents, the lion will come in and start dancing as a blessing of luck and fortune for home. In return, the host gives lucky money to show their gratitude. Cakes and fruits are not only consumed but elaborately prepared as food displays. For example, glutinous rice flour and rice paste are molded into familiar animals. Pomelo sections can be fashioned into unicorns, rabbits, or dogs. Villages of Chien La, just north of Hanoi, produce tu hie, figurines made from rice paste and colored with natural food dyes. Into the early decades of the 20th century of Vietnam, daughters of wealthy families would prepare elaborate centerpieces filled with treats for their younger siblings. Well-dressed visitors could visit to observe the daughter's handiwork as an indication of her capabilities as a wife in the future. Eventually, the practice of arranging centerpieces became a tradition, not just limited to wealthy families. Into the early decades of the 20th century in Vietnam, young men and women used the festival as a chance to meet future life companions. Groups would assemble in a courtyard and exchange verses of the song while gazing at the moon. gazing at the moon. Those who performed poorly were sidelined until one young man and one young woman remained, after which they would win prizes as well as entertain matrimonial prospects. That's a very nice couple, yo. Couple to do it, yo. We only have this and this and this. Onam is an annual, South Asia, India, Onam. Onam is an annual harvest festival in the state of Kerala in India. It falls on the 22nd Nakshatra Tiruvonam in the Malayalam calendar month of Chingam, which in Gregorian calendar overlaps with August to September. According to legends, the festival is celebrated to commemorate King Mahabali, whose spirit is said to visit Kerala at the time of Onam. Onam is a major annual event for Malayali people in and outside Kerala. It's a harvest festival, one of the three major annual Hindu celebrations, along with Vishu and Tiruvatira, and it is observed with numerous festivities. Onam celebrations include Valam Kali, also known as boat races, Pulikali, tiger dances, Pukalam, flower rangoli, Onatapan worship, Onam Kali, tug of war, Tumbi Tulao, women's dances, Kumatikali, mask dance, Onatalu, martial arts, Onavilu, music, Kaz Chakula, plantain offerings, Omapotan, costumes, Achachamayam, folk songs and dances, and other celebrations. Onam is the official state festival of Kerala, with public holidays that start 4 days with Ufradam, Onam Eve. Major festivities take place across 30 venues in Tiruvananthapuram, capital of Kerala. It is also celebrated by Malayali diaspora around the world. Though a Hindu festival, non-Hindu communities of Kerala participate in Onam celebrations, considering it as a cultural festival. Sharad Purnima is a harvest festival celebrated on the full moon day of the Hindu lunar month of Ashvin, September to October, marking the end of monsoon season. Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, a full moon day is known as Poya, and each full moon day is a public holiday. Shops and businesses are closed on these days as people prepare for the full moon. Exteriors of buildings are adorned with lanterns, and people often to make food and go to the temple to listen to sermons. The Binara Full Moon Poya Day and Vap Full Moon Poya Day occur around the time of the Mid-Autumn Festival, and like other Buddhist Asian countries, the festivals celebrate the ascendance and coronation of the Buddha's visit to heaven, and for the latter, the acknowledgement of the cultivation season known as Maha. North America, Canada, and the USA. As late as 2014, the Mid-Autumn Festival generally went unnoticed outside of Asian supermarkets and food stores, but it has gained popularity since then in areas with significant ethnic Chinese overseas populations, such as New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Unlike traditions in China, celebrations in the United States are usually limited to daylight hours and generally conclude by early evening. What? What's this? Daylight hours just from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Oh my gosh, this is no good, yo. You better go to Asia to have fun. So here are the more information city district about the cities and districts in America. So Mid-Autumn festivals in America in Boston, in Chinatown. Boston, Chinatown, Chicago, Chinatown since 2005, Los Angeles, Chinatown since 1938, New York City, Mott Street, Flushing, and Sunset Park since 2019, Philadelphia, Chinatown since 1995, San Francisco, Chinatown since 1991, Toronto, Candlelight Fairview shopping areas, and Vancouver, Dr. Sun Yat-sen Classical Chinese Garden. So lastly, chapter 5, the dates. The Mid-Autumn Festival is held on the 15th day of the 8th month in the Han calendar, essentially the night of a full moon, which falls near the autumnal equinox on the day between 8th September and 7th of October in the Gregorian calendar. In 2018, it fell on 24th September. It will occur on these days in coming years. Last year, they had Mooncake Festival. Mooncake Festival falls on 21st September. This year, in 2 days' time, and 2023 next year, as I've said very early, is on 29th of September. Click these if you want for more information. So here are the notes. In Chinese, these are the words, and in Vietnamese, Tetrum 2. So here are the references for the original information. There are 72 credits in the references. So here are all the external links. San Francisco Chinatown Autumn Moon Festival, Moon Viewing Festival on YouTube. At Sumiyoshi Taisha, Osaka, Japan. Brief video about the history and traditions of the Mid-Autumn Festival on YouTube. And origin and development of the Mid-Autumn Festival. Portals Asia Holidays. So it was being updated, the article was being updated, view edit history updated 2 days ago. If you want to read more about something else, just go ahead if you want to. And please don't forget to subscribe this channel, JYap, as myself, my name. And I would like to see you next time, and we'll say hello to you during the live. I would like to say goodbye and also hello to new subscribers, and also goodbye for the viewers for this live stream right now. So I would like to say goodbye to this live stream and hope to see you again. Hope to see you again when I'm in here, when I'm free, alright? So if you want to read this again, go and read more. Just go ahead and read more if you want. So just go ahead and I would like to end here with this information showing you right now. Okay, so this is the Mid-Autumn Festival. It is known as the Moon Festival or Mooncake Festival. So it is traditional festival celebrated in Chinese culture. Similar holidays are celebrated in Japan, Tsukimi, Korea, Chuseok, Vietnam, Tet Trung Tu, and other countries in East and Southeast Asia. So these are the notes for the Mid-Autumn Festival today. I hope you enjoyed this video, this live stream broadcast. Goodbye, and bye-bye, and see you when I'm free. Alright? See you when I'm free, alright? Bye.